All right, there we go, folks. Hope you guys are having a good day. Had a slight little crash with OBS to start off the stream. Very good sign, of course. Very good sign, right? Okay. Hope you guys are having a great day. A couple of public service announcements. So first of all, you can get a free copy of my new book by joining my mailing list. There's a link down in the chat, and I guess probably in the video description if you're watching this after the fact. So for anybody who is into video games and maybe Nintendo consoles in particular, this will be the last week. This week that's coming up will be the last week that you can buy games on the Nintendo eShop for the Wii U and for the 3DS. Both of those consoles, which have been end-of-life consoles for several years now, they are going to lose their eShops. So if you are if you are considering hacking your Wii U, you will actually need to do that this week in order to at least using the methods that people have figured out in years past. You'll probably need to do that this week because there's a DS title that you have to buy in order to actually unlock all of the custom firmware options and stuff like that on the Wii U. So if you're going to hack your Wii U, now is the time to do it. And you may want to simply to make a backup of your NAND. So Wii U's have been having, this has been known for a couple years now. The onboard storage on the Wii U is not a hard disk like what you get with the PS4 or the PS3 or any of the Xboxes. It's not a hard drive, SSD or otherwise. It is a NAND storage, so it's like an SSD, and that's why it's so small. It's like 8 gigs, I think, was the launch model. Mine has 32 because I have a little bit later model of the Wii U, like the deluxe version or something like that. So either 8 or 32 gigabytes of storage. You do have a card reader in there, so you can put a big card. You can put a big SD card in it to run a lot of your hack software kind of stuff. Or you can hook up an external hard drive to it to get bigger storage. But that NAND storage, if you're not using your Wii U very often, it apparently can die, and that contains like the operating software for your Wii U. So now would be a time to make a backup of that NAND. And backup of your NAND storage. I have one on my computer that's kind of old, but I may make another one just to make sure I've got all my stuff for it. And make sure like my console's set up for the, I guess I don't know what to call it, like the deep sleep, the long sleep of being an out-of-date retro console that can no longer do all of the online stuff that it did when it shipped. The Wii U is actually a really good console. If you're thinking of buying one now, I don't know if I would buy one now simply because hacking it may be difficult. Maybe difficult to get it and then like hack the console before the eShop goes away. But maybe someone will come up with some other hacking ways to hack it once you can no longer buy things off the eShop. But anyway, if you have something to buy on the eShop, now would be the time to do it. If you want some game recommendations, there's a whole bunch. The ones that I would honestly focus on are ones that aren't available on other platforms in some way. And that's because, well, you may have access to those other platforms, in which case you don't really have to struggle, like, scramble to buy software for the Wii U when you can play it on other platforms. And there's software that Nintendo has never bothered to port, even first-party software. So one of them is Yoshi's Woolly World. I think it's better than Yoshi's Crafted World, personally. I think it's one of the best Yoshi games you can buy. It's one of my kids' favorite games. It's a game that you can turn on like a mellow mode, and it's pretty good to play with children. And you can also turn that off and have a modest challenge. You don't have a life counter or anything, so it's just try until you can get through the levels, which makes it really good for casual players. And like I said, it's really good for kids. I'm sorry if it's really noisy here. My kids and my dogs are going crazy right now, and I don't know why. But anyway, that's what's going on. So if it's really noisy, I'm super sorry. So anyway, that's a Wii U game that I would really encourage people to check out and and buy. That's probably one of the best ones on the platform that you can get. There's 2 HD Zelda ports, one for Wind Waker and one for Twilight Princess. And in my opinion, these are the best versions of both of those games. So I have both of them, and I have the box. Here, I'll show you the box. So yeah, when you bought the original one, you got this box with an amiibo. It was really cool, right? Shiny box. I saved the box because the box was cool. My wife was like, throw away the box. I'm like, no, the box is cool. I'm going to keep it. So yeah, Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD. In my opinion, those are both the best versions to play. If you played Twilight Princess on the Wii, I think the Wii U version is much better. And the main reason is it's in HD, it has a better interface, and it's the GameCube version rather than the Wii version. The Wii version, everything is reversed. So if you didn't know about the graphics of the Wii was actually a kind of a souped up GameCube. So the graphics for the Wii were not really improved from the GameCube version, but because of the way people hold the Wiimote and the nunchuck, the Wii remote, and then I always called it a Wiimote, but it's actually a Wii remote. I don't know, a little piece of Mandela effect there. I was like, oh, I always thought it was the Wiimote. No. So the Wii remote and the nunchuck. Because people hold that in their right hand, they're like, well, Link usually uses his sword in his left hand, so we'll switch it to the right hand. And rather than just like that being a thing, they mirror the entire world. So the Wii version is everything is backwards. Everything is just mirrored. Everything is flipped. It's really bizarre that they did that, but that's what they did for the Wii version. The Wii U version is the GameCube version, which is considered the definitive version of the game. So I would get that. The Wind Waker version is also very good. Great interface. A little bit improved from the GameCube version, though, and I think the visuals are much better than the GameCube version. Everything's crisper. In certain lighting situations, you can see more of the geometry of the characters rather than that cute little cell shaded effect, but I don't think it's a big deal. I still think the game looks way superior than GameCube. And if you're playing on an HD TV or a 4K TV, you really want the HD version. It's a big pain. I have my GameCube. I have all that stuff. It's a big pain to use the GameCube in with an HD or a 4K TV. It really shows, I guess it really shows the lower resolution. It's hard to scale it up. You have to spend a lot of money on things like RetroShrink and things like that to get it to look really good on your HD TV. Well, why do that when you have an HD console and you can just buy the HD version? So both of those, I think, are the best versions of those games that you can get. There is a Xenoblade game that is still stranded on the Wii U called Xenoblade Chronicles X, or I've heard it Xenoblade Chronicles Cross. And hold on just a second. Sorry about that. The kids are screaming like right outside the office door. So I'm sorry if that's super loud. So anyway, Xenoblade Chronicles X. That is another game that I would recommend people check out. I don't think it's that good a game, but it is stranded on the Wii U. I have a physical copy, so I'm not worried about buying it on the eShop. If you're going to buy a bunch of stuff on the eShop, you may want to get some extra storage. You can actually just use a thumb drive. If you have like a fairly large thumb drive sitting around, just plug it into the back of the console. Or you can use an external hard drive. I actually just bought a new external hard drive just for the Wii U because one of my ideas is I'm actually going to rip all of my discs onto the hard drive so that way I don't scratch up any more discs. I have kids and they've already ruined a couple of Wii U discs because they play this console so dang much. This console gets more attention in my house than any other console. And I have like the new stuff, I have like a PS5 and my kids are not that interested in it. They still want to play Wii U games because Wii U games were just that good. So those are some of my recommendations. There are other games that are actually stranded on the Wii U that I can make a separate video on, like games that, are Wii U games, like exclusive to Wii U still after 10 years. most of the ones that you'd be interested in have been ported to other consoles at some point. Like Breath of the Wild is a Wii U game, but it got ported to the Nintendo Switch like immediately, like at launch. So most people think of it as a Switch game. It's really a Wii U game. I have it on the Wii U. I don't have it on the Switch. But you don't really need to buy that one on the Wii U if you have a Nintendo Switch. You just get the Switch version. It's a little bit better. So, and then you can get like if you want to play the Wii version of Skyward Sword, it's like $20 on the eShop. And that's a really reasonable price. I'm inclined to say that the Wii, because I actually have the Nintendo Switch version, I'm inclined to say the Wii version is actually superior because it has the original control scheme. And I don't love the original control scheme, but the game was clearly designed with those weird motion controls in mind. So that might be an option too, because you can just use Wii. The Wii U has 100% backward compatibility, or maybe 99.9% backward compatibility with Wii games. So you can just buy Wii games on the eShop. You can even buy some Nintendo 64 games on the eShop. There's one of the Ogre Battle games is available on the eShop, and it's not available on any other platform. So you're either using a Nintendo 64 ROM or you're getting it on the Wii U eShop for Ogre Battle 64, which is a follow-up to, or related to Tactics Ogre, which was for the Super Nintendo and also came out for the PlayStation 1. So anyway, I like Tactics Ogre. If you didn't know, this is, I guess, a total aside. Tactics Ogre Reborn is based on the PSP version, which you can get for $10 on the Vita. So if you have a Vita, you don't need to buy the Nintendo Switch version or the PC version of Tactics Ogre Reborn. You can buy the $10 PSP version. It's exactly the same, as far as I know. Not exactly, but it's the same. And because the original game was for a 480i console, it's not like you're getting spectacular extra visuals by getting the PC version. You're getting the upscaled 480i graphics from the Super Nintendo. Or really you're just getting upscaled graphics from the PSP version. So, Cemu Breath of the Wild 4K. Yeah, you can emulate Breath of the Wild and run it in 4K. It actually would, I've seen people say it runs better on Steam Deck than on the Nintendo Switch. But anyway, I think it runs really good on the Wii U, and I think the interface, I don't know, I like it better for the Wii U, I think. But I like most games that are available for the Nintendo Switch and the Wii U. I almost always like the Wii U version better. It usually controls better. They use the touchpad for different things, and I don't know. I tend to like those versions better. I'm trying to think of some examples. So like Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, I have that for the Wii U. I think I like the Wii U version better. I definitely like the Wii U version of Hyrule Warriors better. Because that one you can actually play two-player, not split screen, but one on one screen, one on the portable screen, which is really cool. Fun fact, Monster Hunter 3 for the Wii U will actually interface with the 3DS version. So you can do two-player local co-op with a 3DS and a Wii U on Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate. I think Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate for the Wii U. What a weird thing that they could have implemented this like much more broadly, but they only did it with that one game. It wasn't even a Nintendo thing, It's weird the possibilities that you're like, they could have done this, and it's like, why didn't they do this for a lot of games? It's like, I don't know why they didn't do it, but they didn't. So anyway, so yeah, check those out. And just a forewarning, same thing with 3DS. If you want like a list of great 3DS games, I will make a separate video on that. Someone suggested, hey, you should make some videos on this because you have so many 3DS games and so many Wii U games, and you were so into those platforms. I'm like, yeah, it's a good idea. So if you want, off the top of my head, the great 3DS games, there are two really good Zelda ports, Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time 3D. In my opinion, both of those are the best versions of those games that you can play. Now, people who grew up with the Nintendo 64 will say the Nintendo 64 version of Ocarina of Time is the best version you can play, but I actually think it runs much better on the 3DS. I think it looks better. The 3D effect looks really good. They don't really up the graphics or change them too much. but rather just kind of remade the game to work in 3D. I like the interface of the 3DS much better than the Nintendo 64. I'm not a big fan of the Nintendo 64 controller. I have a Nintendo 64. I grew up with it, but it's one of those consoles that I can have a realistic eye towards because I just can. I can take off the nostalgia glass and be like, well, what is it really like now? So yeah, those are versions of Zelda games that you can get. And as far as I know, you will never see those versions of those Zelda games ever again. So if you want to buy the 3D versions of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, in my opinion, those are both the best versions of those games that you can play as far as the visuals and their controls and everything else. People who are extremely nostalgic for those games don't like some of the visual changes, like, some of the graphics look a little bit different, but they in generally run smoother and looks better than the Nintendo 64 versions. Nintendo 64 was like 30 FPS, 15 FPS fog everywhere, The Nintendo 64 was very impressive for the moment that it came out, but the visuals have a hard time holding up. I think it's the hardest generation, that and the PS1. Hardest generation for 3D games to hold up over time is that one. So those are really good. Of course, there are 3 Fire Emblem games for the 3DS, all of which I like. So it is Fire Emblem Awakening, which is a very popular Fire Emblem game. And in fact, I think it might be my favorite one because the gameplay is so good and the meta. There's like a meta level where you get your characters married to each other, and then you can produce. If you set it up right, you can produce really powerful child units that are like game-breakingly strong, which is really important to beat the game on Lunatic, the hardest difficulty modes. Fire Emblem Fates, of course, and I'll mention Fire Emblem Fates because that one is really important. If you want to play the entire story, you can only buy that for the next week. Even if you have a physical copy, you have to buy the other stories as DLC. So I bought a physical copy of, I think, Birthright, the one where you're Hoshido, and then I bought Conquest as DLC, and then you buy Awakening. I think is it Awakening? Revelations, maybe. There's a third one that's only available as DLC. The only way to get it in a physical copy was to buy this collector's edition, which now sells for hundreds of dollars. So just buy it on the eShop, and you'll end up paying $60 for a $60 game. There's a lot of content in Fire Emblem Fates, a huge amount of content, story-wise and map-wise. Gameplay is a ton of variety. There's unique units for Hoshido. There's unique units for Nor, and then the third path has some really interesting ways that you can collect units and get just a big variety of what you can do gameplay-wise there. So Fire Emblem Fates is actually a really good game as far as gameplay goes. I'm not a fan of how they told the story in like 3 different little layers, kind of like Fire Emblem Three Houses. I think I'm a fan of just telling a story versus playing the game 3 times. However, I guess for Fire Emblem Three Houses, I feel the same way. It's if you ever feel like playing the game again, you get a whole new experience. You get to play the story from a different perspective. Oh man, I really want to play Fire Emblem. Well, just play another version of the Fire Emblem Fates story, another version of the Fire Emblem Three Houses story. It's great. So in another way, I really like those things. But for the first playthrough, I'm like, you're missing critical story elements. But I'm a fan of Fire Emblem Fates. I like it. You can also, if you can find it, I would recommend you hack your 3DS, by the way. You should do that. You could play the Japanese versions, which are way less censored than the American versions of Fire Emblem Fates. And then the third one, Fire Emblem Echoes Shadows of Valentia, I think, which is kind of a remake or redo of an older game, but it's really good. And it really has top-notch visual presentation, kind of the height of 3DS development. So that's a really good one. So those 3 Fire Emblem games, I don't see them porting them anytime soon. They may. I think with the hype around Fire Emblem now, they probably will. But for now, the only way to get those 3 games is to get them on the 3DS. So if you have a 3DS and you don't have those games, now's the time to get them. My big caveat for 3DS games, I have a bunch of them, is that the 3DS is so easy to hack, and it's so easy to run backups of your games. In fact, I took all of my physical games and backed them up onto my SD card. that I don't think it's quite as imperative to buy eShop 3DS games unless they're only available on the eShop and you want to have the eShop version of them. Because you can basically get the games from Internet Archive and then just put them on your 3DS. Like, I'm not endorsing that anybody pirate games, but that will probably be an option and not a very difficult option for most people. Whereas hacking a Wii U is quite a bit more difficult, and it's a little bit more complicated, and then running backups from the Wii U is also a little bit more complicated process. It's more fun, I think, and it works better to just play the discs on the Wii U. That's why I have a big collection of Wii U games, and I was able to buy them pretty cheap years ago because no one wanted Wii U. So I bought like a huge part of the catalog for like $10 a disc, which even the same game would be selling on the Nintendo Switch for $60. So I was like, I bought it for the Wii U for $10. Oh, there you go. Let me think if there's any other 3DS games. Oh, Xenoblade Chronicles 3D. Now you have Xenoblade Chronicles HD. So you can just play that on the Switch if you have the Nintendo Switch. But if you don't have a Nintendo Switch, or you want to play it in 3D because you like the 3D effect, you're like me, Xenoblade Chronicles 3D. There's also 2 Dragon Quest games on the 3DS. It's Dragon Quest 7 and 8. And these are really good versions of those Dragon Quest games, and they will be difficult to acquire after the eShop goes down. I bought them on sale years ago for like $5 or $10 off the eShop. They were great, and they're really good versions of those Dragon Quest games. I'm a big fan of Dragon Quest series, so Dragon Quest 7 and 8 are available on that. Let me think if there's any other ones off the top of my head. There's a Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater 3D. Actually a pretty cool implementation of 3D. There is a Metroidvania that's related to Castlevania Lord of Shadows called Mirror of Fate. That one is pretty fun. I enjoyed that one. And Super Mario 3D Land. So Super Mario 3D Land will never be ported off the 3DS as far as I know, or if they do, it's going to be a bad port, because so much of the game is built around the 3D effect and using depth perception to guide Mario, and it's just much more difficult to do on a flat screen without 3D. So Super Mario 3D Land and New Super Mario Bros. 2, I think it is, on the 3DS. Both of those are really good first-party games. So once again, Nintendo knocks it out of the park with their first-party games for the 3DS, and that's no exception. If you want to play the Pokemon games for that, I think it's like Moon. I don't know. I'm trying to remember what they are. They're just Pokemon. I don't know. If you're really into Pokemon, you probably already have them. So if you're not into Pokemon, it's not like critical that you play these Pokemon games, you know. Xenoblade Chronicles 3D is the new 3DS only, by the way. Require that extra oomph. So is the Fire Emblem Warriors. So you can get Fire Emblem Warriors and Hyrule Warriors for the 3DS. The new Nintendo 3DS. So just be aware that there are some titles that are locked to the higher spec console, and it looks like the higher spec consoles are selling for a little bit more money. I'm seeing about $200 these days, which is something because I bought my new Nintendo 3DS for like $150, I think, which is a steal. And boy, has that given me a lot of returns. So anyway, just wanted to give that out to you. Oh, someone says you can use an ejector to put GameCube and DS ISOS on Wii U. So you can use if you hack your Wii U, which I recommend you do if you have a Wii U and you haven't done this, you should jailbreak your Wii U and you can run GameCube ROMs on your Wii U using Nintendo. It's a little bit complicated. You have to hack your virtual Wii console, but once you have it set up, then you can play all of your GameCube games. You can't play them off the disc because the drive is incapable of reading GameCube discs. I don't know why, but the ability to play GameCube is actually built into the Wii U. You just have to unlock it. But you can run the ROMs. So that's why you have to hack the virtual Wii, is that you have to run the ROMs off of your hard drive or whatever. And when you run the ROMs, they'll work. And there's a lot of games that are still kind of stranded on the GameCube, including Fire Emblem games like Fire Emblem. I believe it is Path of Radiance, the one where you're Ike. And then there's one for the Wii called Radiant Dawn. Both of those are very good games. So you can run your GameCube games, and that's actually one of the best ways to play GameCube games because you have a built-in upscaler, a digital output, Everything looks really crisp. It runs at 480p, just really beautifully. And yeah, it's a great way to play your GameCube games if you don't want to try to hack your GameCube to use digital output or spend an extra $100 for an adapter to, you know what I mean? So just if you can bother to hack your Wii U, you can run your GameCube ROMs that way, and it's a great way to run them. If you're wondering how do you get GameCube ROMs, you can get them on Internet Archive if you have the game, right? So check that out. It's good. And then, of course, you can run RetroArch. You can run RetroArch on your Wii U. Run a bunch of emulators that way. Aside from Lord of Shadows, I've actually played little of Castlevania. How is it in general? It's one of the best franchises of all time. You have to start with the first one to know where the quality of the gameplay is. It's a difficult set of games. Castlevania 3 is very difficult, but it's one of the best. Same thing with Dracula X, Chronicles of Blood, right? So yeah, it's one of the best franchises. But Lord of Shadows is not the classic Castlevania gameplay. That's more like God of War, but Castlevania. What you actually want to play is the classic Castlevania games. The best ones are probably, I'm going to say Castlevania 4, Symphony of the Night, and Rondo of Blood. Those are like my three favorites probably. In this kind of in the 1632-bit era, I think those are the best. Did you see my DM on Discord? Yes, I sent you a reply. I didn't see it till recently because I hadn't opened up Discord all week until like I used some Midjourney AI art for a little video essay. I would pay top dollar for an HD remake or remaster of SSX Tricky for Switch. Loved that game so much. Yeah, that was a good game. I haven't played it in a long time. So, Symphony of the Night's one of the best, and it runs well. You can play Symphony of the Night on your Vita if you have a Vita. It runs great. It's a PS1 classic. If you have the original PS1 disc, you can rip that and run that as well with an emulator. Did you notice the best reviewed games this year are remastered GameCube games? I think the GameCube was an underappreciated, and people are starting to realize that. I agree. Yeah, it really was underappreciated. It was... I talked about this when I ranked all the Nintendo consoles. I'm like, it was kind of stuck in the middle. It was a console that was, in a lot of ways, more powerful than the PlayStation 2, but it wasn't the Xbox. And it didn't play DVDs, but it had so many other cool things. Like, there is a remake of Crystal Chronicles, Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, which I've actually played on stream. It's okay if you only want to play the one-player version of the game. But this was a game for GameCube where everybody would bring over their Game Boy Advance and a link cable, and you could have 4-player local co-op. Everyone had their own little screen for the menus. And then, like, this crazy action RPG chaos on your big TV. We used to play it on, like, a big screen TV. It was really fun. There's experiences, and then there's, like, the Zelda Four Swords Adventures. There's experiences like that on the GameCube that just... You can't move them. You could move them forward, actually. You could easily have made for the PS4 a version where everybody had a little screen in the corner because you're dealing with so much more real estate. Or you could do a 4K version where everyone has their own little screen for Crystal Chronicles. But they just, people don't know what to do with that stuff. There was the Tingle Tuner with Wind Waker. Like, there was just so much cool stuff for the GameCube, and I think a lot of people missed out on it if they didn't own a GameCube. I had one. So Metroid Prime, all that kind of stuff, I had access to that. And for games that were cross-platform, like I remember 007 Nightfire, which was a fun James Bond game. I think is better than GoldenEye, simply because it was better hardware, just better design. You had a whole generation to refine the design of GoldenEye. I don't think GoldenEye holds up very well, by the way. But Nightfire was really, really good on the GameCube. It ran better than the PS2. The Matrix game ran a lot better on the GameCube than the PS2. Almost every game that came out on multiple platforms ran better on the GameCube. The GameCube was just a more robust system in general, and it was easier to program for, is the big one. So the Emotion Engine had a lot of great things going for it, but it was an older piece of hardware by the time the GameCube came out. And a lot of developers didn't know how to get all of the muscle out of the PS2 that was available. there was, of course, like really fabulous games for the PS2. The reason the PS2 won is it had more games and it had more good games. It just was a better platform overall if you wanted to play games. It had the most games. So that's why it won. Yeah, FPS games were nearly unplayable with the N64 controller, but they were really unplayable on the PS1 as well. Let's be honest. They didn't do so good. PS2 had really good first-person games, but PS1 era did not. That entire generation really struggled to keep up. It reminded me of God of War. He's talking of Castlevania Lord of Shadows. It's good. It's not bad. It's really not a bad game. I enjoyed it, but it's not. When people think of Castlevania, they think of a side-scroller, killing vampires with a whip kind of game. They're thinking of Rondo of Blood. They're thinking of Castlevania. They're thinking of Castlevania 4, or they're thinking of Symphony of the Night, Metroidvania stuff. They're not thinking God of War. But I will say that Lord of Shadow might be like the best 3D Castlevania game, simply because they took a gameplay style that already worked, which was God of War, and just made it Castlevania. They just adapted it to their, to their universe, to the Castlevania universe, and I think it worked really well. I think that's not a bad approach, in my opinion, to making a game, is to just start with the gameplay that works and then move toward what you're imagining for your game. Right? There's nothing wrong with starting with Diablo gameplay. Click and kill skeletons, and then making it unique, right? So, hey, most platformers are Mario, but 3D fighting games kind of end up being God of War, and that's okay. I've been hearing people say good things about the video game Conan Exiles. I haven't played it yet. Have you seen the Midjourney Dark Souls 80s Dark Fantasy movie images? Yes, I have. They're good. Like Midjourney can do lots of really cool things if you know how to use it and manipulate stuff with it. It can even do like image bashing in really fun ways. Like I made a photo of my son as like Odin with a flaming sword by like combining art. You can do really, really fun things like that. The Matrix game was interesting. It filled in a bunch of stuff that was missing from the movies, which at the time. So now, if you were born in 2000 or after 2000, we just weren't around for the Matrix. Like the Matrix was this cultural phenomenon when it was out, especially for my generation. I don't know why. Super popular with millennials. I think just because the first movie was so good. And then the follow-ups, like the first follow-up, Matrix Reloaded, was just such an explosive movie on screen. It was like, wow! It just was like amazing. And people didn't really like the conclusion of the third movie, but the space in between that second and third movie had this game, and it also had this series of animated films called the Animatrix. People gobbled this stuff up, especially people that were like in high school and college at the time. They really loved this stuff, and it was huge. So the game was huge because Matrix was huge, and nobody had the letdown of the third movie and its weird kind of non-resolute ending to, I guess, let the gas out of the balloon, if you will. So yeah, it was a big deal back then, and hey, it was better on the GameCube. Did you ever play Pokemon Coliseum or Custom Robo on the GameCube? I did not. I didn't play those. What about Metal Gear Rising Revengeance style Castlevania with whip instead of a sword? People are like, oh, the black sheep of Metal Gear. It's like, I don't know. Metal Gear fans really like Revengeance. Yeah, that would be cool too. I love playing 007 Nightfire on PS2. In hindsight, I don't know how my friends and I could play 4-player split screen on a small standard FTV and see what we were doing. It's the same thing with like, it's technically super impressive that GoldenEye could run 4-player first-person split screen on a Nintendo 64. That's technically impressive. But we went back and played it after we'd gotten used to like Unreal Tournament 2004 or something, and we're like, this is unplayable. This game sucks. And it's not that it sucks. It was very impressive for the time, but it's not good compared to any other 4-player experience you can have. But it's really impressive that they did it. But when you're playing it, it's like 10 FPS, like it's almost like a slideshow. It's things are so blurry and so hard to see, and the frame rate is so bad. There's so much stuttering. It's like really unplayable. But somehow we played it. We played it in the 90s, and I think what it was is it just facilitated people to play something together, to do something together, and that's really the great thing about those 4-player games for the Nintendo 64. It's what the Nintendo 64 did really well, is it facilitated people hanging out with each other. Were the games actually good? I think GoldenEye, as an example, is like, no, they really weren't that good. In fact, they're mostly not playable by modern standards at all. If I were to hand 007 to my son, he'd be like, this game is unplayable, Dad. How do you play this, right? Like, this is awful. He would turn it off because it plays so terribly. And if you grew up with it, then you know how to play it, and you can like deal with its bad control scheme and its, using the little yellow arrow buttons and all that kind of stuff. But for somebody who grew up with things that actually control well, sorry, 007 is not good. And then likewise, the graphics, it'd be like, it's blurry. What am I looking at? Whereas anything on the PS2, like my son could play things on the PS2 because they're not that far removed. Yeah, the graphics aren't good. He loves like GameCube type games, and he loves Super Mario Sunshine. It's like, I'm not going to get Super Mario Sunshine on the Switch because, hey, we have it on the GameCube. We got the OG. We just play it on the GameCube. And it's good. The Matrix took everything our cohort liked about games, anime, music, and movies and TV and tied it into a very nice package. That is correct. And if you watch the original Matrix from 1999, if you've never seen it, if you're one of those young people watching old man Stu with his very graying hair now and his gray beard, I'm slowly becoming Gandalf here, which is fine by me. We all get older, folks. Go back and watch the Matrix from 1999. It's a perfect snapshot of the late 90s. It's a perfect snapshot of how we viewed things in an idealistic sense, like what it meant to hack and use computers and what computers looked like and what daily life looked like, what working in the office looked like. Computers were fully integrated into our lives, but not the way that they are now, not like a smartphone, not like live video. But it captured the music aesthetic. It captured the cool aesthetic of like what we considered alt culture, which wasn't really alt culture when you think about it. Like wearing the black trench coats and blah, blah, blah. This is pre-Columbine where like they started saying like kids couldn't wear like black coats because of the Matrix and stuff. Anyway, it's really dumb. But go back and watch it, and it's like the glasses. I still wear like Ray-Ban Predator sunglasses. I like the wraparounds. They like block out all the light. It's great for really sunny places like California. Now that I live in Texas where it's cloudy all the time. Well, I mean, I have Gulf Coast, East Texas. It's cloudy all the time. And I'm in the forest, so I wear different sunglasses sometimes now too. But yeah, I don't know. They capture the aesthetic. You'll get this feeling. It's kind of like watching, I don't know if there's a movie from it's like watching Bullet. If you've never seen Bullet with Steve McQueen, that perfectly captures that like 1970, 1969 aesthetic of California. If you want to know what California felt like, you watch Bullet with Steve McQueen. If you want to know what American culture felt like in 1999, you watch The Matrix. Even though it's an action movie and it's a fantasy movie, it captures the aesthetic and the attitudes of the culture like pretty perfectly. So it's definitely worth a watch if you're a younger person. Be like, oh, this is kind of weird. Maybe it's cool. The action sequences still hold up, just like with Bullet. Yeah, watch Bullet with starring Steve McQueen. They hold up, and it captures a little nugget of that Gen X, Gen Y generation in the 90s. How we felt about things we idealized, aesthetics that we put on our bodies, all that kind of stuff. I think the good PS2, GameCube, and Xbox games do not suffer with age. I think so too. I think the PS2 generation holds up really, really well. We had to have this generation, the PS1 and 64, you had to have this generation where developers learned to work in 3D because it was a new thing. And most of the 3D games are not good, and they don't hold up very well, and they don't look very good. But with the PS2 era, the hardware leap from the PS1 to the PS2 was gigantic. I can't stress what a huge leap it was at the time. And you can probably still see it if you are younger. Look at PS1 games and like the horrible fog, and there was also this weird judder on the PS1 where like geometry would kind of go back and forth because of the way it rendered things. It's really weird. But the PS2, everything's like, whoa, sharp, smooth, especially if you look at it on a CRT, 60 FPS, beautiful. Look at the difference between Final Fantasy IX and Final Fantasy X. It's insane how much better Final Fantasy X looks. In fact, the PS2 version of Final Fantasy X probably looks better than the HD remaster of Final Fantasy X, especially if you're looking at it on a CRT, which applies the correct effect. Things were designed for CRTs. But anyway, people had learned to design games in 3D, so by the time the PS2 came out, the games were really playable. They all worked. They were all controlled really well. They all looked really good. And so you move it forward in time, you look at it and you're like, well, these graphics are not as good. It doesn't have as good as shading. The textures are lower res, but it runs fast and it controls well. And that's all you really need for a game. You need a game that runs well and controls well and is fun to play, that has fun things and fun challenges. So the PS2 generation holds up remarkably well. PS1 generation, I think, is the hardest one. And then the 16-bit generation holds up really, really well. The Genesis and the Super Nintendo has one of the best game catalogs of all time. Almost every single game, because for the same reason, is that they developed for the NES, they were still learning to program sprite-based 2D games and have graphics that were good. And then the 16-bit comes along. They had already developed all their techniques in the prior generation. They just had much better tools to work with, and they had gotten all that design worked out. So everything for the Super Nintendo works better than it did for the NES. Any franchise, the SNES version is always like the best version of that franchise. Final Fantasy 1, hey, it's good. By the time you get to Final Fantasy 3 or Final Fantasy 6 on the SNES, it's like, this is a different level of design quality. It's so good. In fact, I'd say two of the best Final Fantasy games of all time, 4 and 6, were for the Super Nintendo, the SNES with the Super Famicom. Did you hear that the latest episode of The Mandalorian is basically Orwell's 1984, but with New Republic as Big Brother? I did not hear that, but that sounds cool. Maybe I'll watch it. I haven't watched any Star Wars in years. I don't know if you guys are still watching Star Wars. I made a video. I didn't publish it yet. All right, is anyone still watching Star Wars in 2023? I see that they're making new series. Is it just normies watching it, or like the hardcore religious fans, or is my audience watching Star Wars? I really don't know. Like I could watch some more Star Wars and do some more Star Wars reviews if that's what people want. But I needed to give it like a year break because I just was tired of Star Wars. Final Fantasy X blew my mind. Yeah. That intro with like the swimming and this like, and then this crazy city with these monsters attack. I was like, this is amazing. I mean, Grand Theft Auto 3 blew our minds, and that one looks like crap now, but it's still really fun to play. Whereas Final Fantasy X, the visuals still really hold up. Graphical limitations could give unintended aesthetics to games, though. I think a lot of it was intended. I think the CRT was very intended. Like, they knew what they were doing. Before N64 came out, if you remember, Nintendo was touting the system to be like Silicon Graphics. Jurassic Park often cited as what it would look like. It was a serious grift by Nintendo. Yeah. To me, portraying the New Republic as an Orwellian dystopia is a bad idea. I think it's a fine idea, actually. I don't know. Why not? Why not make it just an Orwellian dystopia? Now, I really want the Empire to be the Orwellian dystopia. Otherwise, you just end up with a cycle of like authority always bad, and it's not really Star Wars, I think. So I think you're probably right. I actually agree with you, but I think it's an interesting premise considering it's fan fiction, right? Can't recommend Andor. No, Andor, not Indoor. I had that on the video. It's like, is it Andor, Indoor? I don't know. I like the Ewoks movies in the 80s. Anyway, let's play a little bit of Final Fantasy VII. Enough chatting about games. I'll try to chat as we play. I spent too much time chatting. I always do. I'm sorry for that. Where are we? Whoop, whoop. Oh, that's right. I had a game over. Properties. I always have to like rehook it up. There it goes. Like I should chat about all this stuff as we play. I stopped watching anything Star Wars after Last Jedi. I haven't seen Rise of Skywalker. Rise of Skywalker has a unintended like Flash Gordon like ending. It's pretty funny, in my opinion. Oh, I don't have the audio hooked up. No wonder. I'm like, I can't hear this, guys. I unplugged this audio cable because it was making noise on one of my recordings. Now I have to find it. Give me a second. Up, 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 up. Where did I put that? I got like this mess of wires because I was trying to record a song here and things always end up a little weird. That's the microphone. And audio in. There it goes. Well, I'm glad to have you on the channel. The movie that I always think of in terms of 1990s cultural time capsules, Home Alone. That's early 90s. Matrix is like late 90s. My kids asked me what part of my favorite part of Rise of Skywalker was, and I told them it was the credits because it was over. My favorite part was like when she pulls out the two lightsabers. It's just so stupid. Yeah, sometimes I like stupid stuff. This must be the cargo room. Mega Elixir. Yeah, there's some things in here that are really bad. I might need to... I don't know if there's like a... Figure it out. Something that protects against sleep. No. Let's figure it out. I don't remember what these bad guys do. Here we go. Think we'll ever see another Robert E. Howard in the future? Yeah, for sure. All right, so we just got one shot. It's fun. Gives us the Spirit Lance. Skylar Hernstrom is a little Howard-esque. I mean, there's tons of Howard-like writers out right now, I'm sure. We're not seeing them on the shelves because the market doesn't want that. I shouldn't say the market. The publishers don't like it. these mobs are ridiculously difficult. There we go. We killed the guy. There we go. Another guy dead. Matrix is one of my all-time favorites. I have that genuine quite nostalgic for the mid-late 90s, so bad. Yep. Get a lot of experience and a lot of gold there, though. It's good for like farming XP and gold. Save. I think Michael Moorcock was like Robert E. Howard, or is. I think he's still alive. He lives in Austin. Yeah, I think he is like Robert E. Howard. It's like if Robert E. Howard lived, you know? I mean, his output's been insane, and he writes those crazy hero stories that people like, you know? What is this place? Must be some kind of research establishment, because there's a Mako generator. A green chest. Mega elixir. Wait, is there something else there? There's something else there? I swear, it looks like there's a pink thing there. I think that's a... Tom Cruise and Guy Ritchie have both have good track records lately. Guy Ritchie was married to Madonna. Have you seen her recently? Oh my... Good grief. Abnormal brat. What does this do? Charm. Oh, it confuses. Oh, he hit himself. Oh, great. We killed Cloud. Good job, Tifa. Good crit. Alright, run away. Run away! See, we're gonna get another game over real quick, and then it'll be that tentacle attack. I knew Elric came out months ago. Citadel of Forgotten Myths. Wasn't even on my radar because, you know, that kind of stuff, nobody tells me about it. But I'll check it out. The thing is, like, there's a lot of post-main sequence Elric stuff that I'm just not interested in. There's one where, like, Elric is like Elric and Nazis or something. I don't know. It's not that interesting to me now. Now live in a reality in which Roseanne Barr is better looking than Madonna. Isn't reality fun? Okay, let's quit. Let's see if there is something that like nothing against poison. Tifa has the ribbon. That's good. Yeah, Madonna looks like the Bogdanovs, you know? Poison Fang. Miss! Perfect. Oh, perfect. Oh, it absorbs lightning. Oh, that's not good. Creepy touch. Roald Dahl is right. Who you are will eventually shine through on the outside. Miss. Yeah, Roald Dahl's getting all his books rewritten. Apparently, they'd already rewritten Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, so that the Oompa Loompas weren't little African pygmies. I think my version has them as African pygmies, though. Creepy touch. It's creepy. It doesn't do anything. Unknown 3 skill powers use that. Unknown 3 skill powers use that. Miss. Alright. Death blow. Yeah, death blow crits every time. There we go. Beat him. Be very careful when exiting the sunken plane. Emerald sometimes spawns right next to it. Oh yeah, he attacked me in last stream. Don't move immediately when you exit. He's there. Surface and he'll spawn elsewhere. Run back and use the tent. Escort guard. Who's that? Whoa. That's a fun error. Well, that's interesting. See if I go to a different screen. Okay. I'm gonna save in a different slot just in case. That was a fun error. I think it went away. No. All right. Let's do this real quick. Relaunch the game. You have to fight missing no weapon. I hope the whole ocean is explorable and not just the center. That would be fun. I don't know if the remake part 2 will even get to the ocean though. Seriously. So the first part remake wasn't even all of disc 1. It was just it was just the section in Midgar, which actually I think it was really good for what it was, and we really got to see a lot of Midgar. But I think honestly I think that's probably the best part of the game. So I don't know. I think the game loses a lot of focus after you leave Midgar. Sorry. It's okay. Like, it's still a fun game. These parts are still fun, but the game has a totally different feel afterwards. I mean, I don't know how they'll do it in 3 parts. They'll probably have to do it in like 5 parts with the pacing that they're doing. Part 2 will maybe get to the ice, And part 3, maybe they could do it in part 3. I don't know. I think disc 2 and 3 go faster than disc 1, to be fair. I wonder if they'll have a world world map. Maybe it'll be like Final Fantasy X. And like the world map is really minimal. Alright, everything's back to normal. Let's do this. Use a tint. Oh! Even, whoa. What a bizarre error. Look at that. What a bizarre error. Yeah, maybe the remake will wrap things up. That's a really good point. What's your opinion on soft remakes like MK9, Doom 2016, and games like that? I consider Doom 2016 not a remake. It's just another Doom game, as far as I'm concerned. I'm going to call them soft reboots. Maybe that's a better term. Or a God of War 2000 whatever, 2018. I don't know. I don't have a necessarily a negative opinion of them. I just wish that they wouldn't, you know, they keep naming conventions correct. Yeah, this is really, it's not the Elgato. This isn't running on an Elgato. There's no capture here. This is just, it's running directly into the PC. Your PC picks this up as like a webcam. Yeah, we could have had Vita on our TVs 10 years ago, 11 years ago, but Sony decided it didn't want to do that because then people might not buy a PS4. I'm not going to say that they're wrong. Like, it was probably a pretty calculating business decision and it worked out. So if I'm selecting this item I just got, it causes this crazy error. But if I go back and come back, then the menus are messed up. Get on here. There we go. Like, this won't be playable. I'm going to save in yet another slot here. It was the item I just got. The I can't even tell you the name of the item. I didn't catch the name of the item. Really funny though, huh? I think it's called the... What did I pick up? Escort Guard. Escort Guard is what I had. I'm running this on Adrenaline. I mean, it could have been an error on my copy of the game, but this is from Sony's eShop. This is the PS1 Classic from the eShop, so it should work. When I was looking up Wii U hacking tutorials, they only made use of the internet browser, nothing off the eShop. Will the internet browser go down at the eShop? I don't know. Maybe there's a newer hack, but when I did it, you had to buy a DS game in order to make it work. So maybe there's a newer version, and I'll check it out, and maybe I'll make a short video on it or something. I would check out Blaine Locklear's channel because he will probably have the newest info on how to hack as a video tutorial, or you can go to hacks.wiiu.guide. We'll usually have it. I haven't looked at it in a long time since I first modded my Wii U, so I don't know. Let's check this out. I have a poison ring right now. It's not in my inventory anymore. It disappeared out of my inventory. No, wait, it's the Imperial Guard. That is what I have now. Wizard Bracelet. Shinra Beta. Diamond Bangle. Escort Guard. Now, oh no, I went one too far. Whatever's past the Escort Guard. Yeah. There's something wrong with the world today. I don't know what it is. All right. Yes. Yeah, I can't. I mean, it's unplayable, and I can't fix the graphical glitch. So I'm not sure what the problem is there. You don't need to download any DS game anymore. Well, that's great news. Oops, I clicked the wrong game. Now we're playing Persona 3. Here. Yes. Yeah, you can't scroll down and see what it is the problem. I still have 134 gigs free on this memory card. That's crazy. I've put everything I could think of on this Vita, and I still have room for more. Wild. I have like every PSP game and PS1 game I've ever owned here. Got like all these bad Mega Man games. There's a lot of bad ones. Final Fantasy Origins. This was good. I played this on... no, I didn't. I played the PSP version. Final Fantasy 3. I think I played that. See, there's Tactics Ogre. Get it for $10, baby. These Dissidia games, which weren't that good. I think I did this Final Fantasy on stream. And this God of War game is actually not bad. It's really not a bad God of War game. There we go. It's the item beyond the Escort Guard. It's the fourth bracelet that's causing it. Doesn't seem to be a known graphical glitch though. That's weird. I don't know what the problem is. It's fun. It's fun to discover new glitches though, I guess. Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. I think that was a Game Boy game. I think that's the first Mana game. Here we go. I'm going to test it one more time. I'm actually going to load up this older save and see if it's there. Or if it's something about picking up the escort guard. That's the problem. So... Notice the dragon helmet. Something about picking up the escort guard did it. So, the fourth bracelet... Drains fire, cold, lightning attack. Poison ring. Alright. So, we can test this. Now, how do I get to that materia? How do I get to that materia? I think it's actually on the bottom floor. Let's check. Alright, now we're going to test it out. Escort guard. Equip. Dragon Wallet. Alright, this time it worked. So, reloading the save seems to have cleared the error here. Nullifies lightning, earth, water, poison. Let's do... There's something here. Lightning, earth, water, poison. I don't know, I'll put that on for now. I have to put on the dragon helmet. And the poison ribbon. Alright. Alright, perfect. In addition to Roald Dahl's 1973 Charlie and the Chocolate Factory rewrite, the original Dr. Dolittle books were also altered for sensitivity decades ago. I didn't know that. But that's interesting to know, like how much of a history there is of rewriting books. Pretty awful when you think about it. I don't like that kind of stuff. But I think the Dr. Dolittle books are in public domain or something now, so that might be... Oh, he's guarding her. That's annoying. Yeah, these random enemies are really brutal. See if I can run away. I can't run away. Alright, we're loading another game. Well, reloading the game seemed to fix whatever the problem was. So, Try some more. This is all sidestep. Like, you don't have to do any of this. Oh, Count of Monte Cristo did have abridged and unabridged versions. That is correct. I need one that, like, makes you immune to... being manipulated. A lot more material we can do now. We'll put some in. What do we have here? Heal. Reskill time. All lightning. This time. Restore Ultima. Gotta be something to be good against this guy. HP plus. Gravity. Press some summons against these guys. Double cut materia. Double cut. Let's see what that does. There's abridged versions of lots of different, like, classic books out there too. This tentacle guy, or we got a different guy today. Let's see what this does. Oh, it hits twice. Tongue. Oh, he tongued him. This guy hits incredibly hard. Yeah, we got to get rid of that cover materia. Magic. Exit here? No. Let's run away. Let's see if we can get away from this guy. Yeah, these random mobs are like way past my level. I'm gonna see if I can get these items and like get the heck out of here. These are good items. Like the double cut materia, this is insane. We'll just see if we gotta like actually get out of here though. Like the cover materia is actually killing us. funny. Cover. It's working too good. Escort guard. Fire, we can do red vest. Dragon armlet. So I'm gonna keep the bolt armlet on. Mega elixir here. Let's see if we can get past the bad guy. Ah, it's this guy again. I didn't equip the materia. Tongue. All right, that killed him. Blah. Tongue. My son thought it was super funny. There was like an enemy in Dragon Quest XI that was just called Lips, and it was just like a giant pair of lips that licked you. Like a tongue would pop out and it would lick you. It's really funny. Let's save. I don't think I got everything from the other room, so I'm gonna save there. Just in case. Double cut. Authors will be probably more wary of what they sign now. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's people that they just want to be published so bad. They don't care how bad the deal is. They will happily, like, sign away the rights to their own children in order to, quote, be published by a publisher. And it's really sad, but that's how it is. People really love the approval of strangers for whatever reason. There we go. Usually you abridge to make them easier to read for children. That is very true. But it also makes it easier to read for adults who want to get the gist of the story but don't want to spend a bunch of time reading, like, you know, reading Moby Dick. Apparently there is is a materia down here somewhere. This is terrible. It's all messed up. Oh, there it is. Hades materia. Pretty rad. Oh, there's another box. 2 boxes down here. Uh-oh. Oh, thank you, Sound Engraver. What's up? Hope's all well. Hope's everything's good with you. I'm trying to work on some new music. Creepy touch. Doesn't do anything to her because she has a ribbon on. When you have a ribbon on, you're immune. Ribbons make you immune. Web novel, Western 10-cent affiliated, makes Western authors sign horrible contracts in order to get onto their website that has a ton of users. Yeah. Well, that's something to gain access to readers. What I mean is, like, people will sign away their firstborn child to get published by Tor. I'm talking about mostly older authors who believe very strongly in the old pub thing. It's like, I'm not a real author unless someone from New York has given me a check for $1,000 and told me that maybe I'll publish a book by you, you know? Like, they have to have the approval of somebody from a publishing house or they're not real. Like, they're not a real author. That's the attitude. I've known so many people like that. You know? They want to be a real author published by some publishing house, and it doesn't matter how bad the deal is for them, or how little money they make, or whether they like ever recoup the money and actually get their royalties. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if I want to try to level my characters here. Probably not. Probably don't need to do that. Oh, this guy again. Hooray. Tongue. Double cut. The Matrix is the first thing that introduced you to the idea of simulated reality. It's actually kind of a ripoff of a book called Simulacron 13. I'm trying to remember who wrote it. Like, it's a very old idea in science fiction. Like Plato's cave allegory taken to like an extreme. You know, maybe it's not just like our interpretation of the world that's wrong, but the world itself is completely false. Level up some materia here. Diablo 4 beta is really good so far. Huge world to explore, much better RPG elements and atmosphere compared to Diablo 3. I thought Diablo 3 had great atmosphere. I don't know what people are thinking about. I don't know why people didn't think the atmosphere of Diablo 3 was good. Thought it was great. Yeah, I was impressed with the action at the time for sure. And I loved the idea. And honestly, you know, the first execution of it is really good. Like, you really honestly don't see the whole the world as an illusion thing coming ahead of time. It was like kind of a big surprise. I saw it with my dad. He actually liked it as a baby boomer. He thought that was kind of a cool twist. Doesn't get rid of sadness. I'm still very sad. Marketing was great. It was pretty good at what it did for sure. Initial equipping. Double growth. Oh, that's double growth. The Force Stealer. I don't think I'm strong enough to like farm in this area though. We can come back if we need to farm. We can farm. Farm later. Because these guys have a ton of XP. Oh, there it is. Yeah, there's Emerald Weapon. Thanks for the warning, whoever gave that to me. Alright. There we go. Perfect. Alright, what's the next one? Did that one. There's another cave up here somewhere. Not sure where. It's up around this horn. This is pre-widespread internet. The marketing for the first Matrix piqued everyone's interest. Friends and I saw opening weekend and didn't stop talking about it for months. Yep, that's how it was, man. It was a cultural phenomenon. So you could see where those games, the Matrix games, were like a huge deal when they came out. They were a really big deal. Because they provided like story answers. A lot of people don't remember that they provided story answers. Here we go. Let's go down. Alright, there it is. I love the submarine music. Look in there. Alright. It's not the first Final Fantasy game where you got to have a submarine. I think that was Final Fantasy 3. Played all of them now, but yeah, one of them you get a submarine before this for sure. Oh yeah, now we're in like this little area here. Well, that's cool. Okay, where do we go from here? think I need Vincent for this next part. So let's take Yuffie here. Vincent. And then we will see what we got here for him. Oh yeah, Outsider, that's good. See what we got here. Dragon Armlet. Wow, 100 magic defense. Yeah, it's crazy to think you started the Final Fantasy replay. I've been too slow on it. I need to like increase the streaming or increase my playtime or something. You know. Alright. Now let's get some. Actually, I think let's just take that off. I think. Oh no, this one doesn't. This one won't do it. Okay. Yeah, we'll use this one. Outsider. Where is it? Added effect. I think. Yes. Added effect and Hades. Lightning and all. Actually, maybe elemental. That should be cool. All and another one in here. Not heal, where's restore? Restore. And then all time. Just debuff them, I guess. Now, let's do lightning. Oops. I always, half the time I'll flip through and I realize, oh yeah, you know, circle is the main button in this one. Let's do... try time. I don't think it does anything, but we can try it out. Just get some stuff in here. P plus. I think you have to level Ultima up before you can even do anything with it. I mean, if you kept up the pace you're at, you might be able to play one of the new ones right when they come out, possibly 17. 16 is supposed to be this summer, I believe. I will play 16 when it comes out for sure. I haven't pre-ordered it. But yeah, I'll play 16. Definitely. Attack. Cover. Go in here. Vincent. That voice. It can't be. Lucretia. Vincent. Lucretia, stay back. Oh, I'm going to get it on PS5. Yeah. I'll play when it comes out. And I'll stream it too. Hang out. It's a fun chance to hang out. more Vincent cutscene here. If she is happy, then I don't mind. After that, a child was born in Lucretia. That child's name is Sephiroth. You release another sci-fi book. I mean, I just released one. It's called Demon Ex Machina. Sci-fi horror. There's sci-fi elements. You can do another Matrix film analysis to help promote it. That's a good idea. Urgh. Your Cyberpunk 2077 review is so good explaining its Gnostic ideas. I was unable to stop Professor Gast and Hojo. And Lucretia, I was unable to stop them. All that I was able to do was watch. That is my punishment. This body is the punishment that was given to me. It's a good idea, though. Lucretia, you're alive. I wanted to disappear. I couldn't be with anyone. I wanted to die. But the Genova inside me wouldn't let me die. Lately, I dream a lot of Sephiroth, my dear, dear child. Ever since he was born, I never got to hold him even once. Not even once. You can't call me his mother. That is my sin. Back, stay back. Vincent, won't you please tell me? What? If Sephiroth is still alive? I heard that he died 5 years ago, but I see him in my dreams so often. And I know that physically, like myself, he can't die so easily. Please, Vincent, tell me. Is he alive? Or did... Lucretia, Sephiroth is dead. I mean, Cloud killed the original Sephiroth. Right? Now, I think we can do some battles here real quick. I don't know if there's any things here. My physical copy came in today, only $6.99, and it came in pristine condition. Oh, thank you. I think we have to do some battles. And we get a weapon for Vincent. Vincent's a really good party member, actually. We'll go somewhere we can get some battles in. Is the original Sephiroth actually dead, or is Genova keeping him at 1 HP? I'm not sure. I think it's like, it's all Genova. Like Sephiroth is just a... he was physically made from Genova. So it's like his psyche persisting inside Genova. I don't know. It's an interesting question. Maybe we can answer it. I think we can just do some battles right here. No? How do I get out of this thing? Oh, yeah, that's the problem. You have to have like a... I think... Can I get out over there? I think I can. Let's find out. Yeah, I think I can. Get off right here. Nope. Submarine can't get out here. Well, I could go back to that part of the ocean. What was that? I could go back to that area. Or that little, the downed plane. Oh, nope, there it is. Emerald weapon. I wonder if I can get around it. Did it respawn somewhere? Yeah, there it goes. This is technically the quickest place to get 10 battles done. To get the weapon for Vincent. Let's save our game real quick. I always found it funny that in Final Fantasy VII lore there was an alien invasion at one point that was defeated by some tribe, and it's treated as a matter of fact in the thing background. You'd think it'd be big. Yeah. Alright, battle number 1. Let's try not to lose. Yes. I was always dying. The timing is so bad. Creepy touch. Alright. Phoenix down. See if I have a slow the guy down. That'll help a little bit. Need to take cover back off the cloud, I think. The medieval man lived a hard life. He was still blessed to know the world, the real world, rather than the ephemeral, ever-shifting fate we call cyberspace. Writing so good, David. Thank you. There's a lot of ideas in the new book that, I don't know, I think they went over some people's head, but it's okay. The idea of, like, what we know being constantly revised. Creepy touch. Creepy touch. Unknown 3 skill powers. Oops, forgot to do that. We critted. Alright, that's one battle. There's 2 battles. Oh, this guy. Uh-oh. Rear attack. Back attack. Tug. Tug. Oh, it put him to sleep. Vincent should still attack at full power. 2x cut. Double cut. There we go. Ultima leveled up. Now we might be able to use Ultima. Alright, that's battle number 2. Battle number 3. Bolt 3. There we go. Here are the little brainlets. A lot of XP, so that's battle number 3. Let's go around in circles here. Yeah, I gotta see about like pre-ordering. I hate pre-ordering games, but you know, Final Fantasy 16. Gotta do it. Ah. Double cut. There we go. That's battle number 4. Yeah, if you know you're gonna buy the game anyway. Is there even a point to pre-ordering to make sure you can get a physical copy of the game on release? They also will like give you some little item to make the game easier. That's really what it comes down to. Oh, you can get an exclusive weapon. It's like, okay, so why would you lower the difficulty of the game? Clearly the difficulty doesn't matter that much, or you would just, you know. Difficulty isn't an issue. Like, why would you give people items to lower the difficulty? Clearly, you didn't care about designing a specific difficulty. If people get like exclusive armor or something like that. Being in law school is a real good deterrent to buying new games and consoles. I was about to buy a VR headset and a new PC, but then realized I should just wait until after I pass the bar. Yeah. Well, I got the PSVR 2, believe it or not. I can't believe you bought that. I don't think I'd recommend it unless somebody's like, I really just want to have I have a PS5 already. I want to have a VR headset, and I know that I will buy games in the future. Because there's not really any killer apps for it right now. And actually, it's a broader problem with VR. Like a PC VR headset is probably better simply because you can run VR Skyrim fully modded. Like, you routinely have people say that, like, VR Skyrim's the best VR game. Why is that? It's weird, right? Like, why should an old game be the best VR game? It's because it has really good gameplay, and it has good gameplay at the higher levels, like the macro level. And most VR games, while they're good gimmicks, I think that was battle number 5? Uh-oh, I lost track. Most VR games are good as gimmicks. They have good micro, but they don't really have anything else going for them. Whereas Skyrim has a bunch of deeper things. Even though it's not as deep as Morrowind, you actually can play VR Morrowind as part of the Morrowind. I actually pre-ordered Super Mario Brothers 3. Well, my dad did for me. I was 8. Right? Or 7 or something. I do like how Vincent just does his own thing as like the Beast. I really wanted to do VR Elite Dangerous. I've also heard VR The Forest is pretty awesome. One of the best VR games I've played is just called Swordsman. And you can get it on the PSVR too, but it's just sword fighting. And like, it could be exhausting, actually. I think that's fight number 5. So I'm gonna count that as fight number 5. I'm gonna do number 6 here. But there's no macro to it. Like, it's just sword fighting. That's all it is. Which is great, but like, Skyrim has sword fighting plus wizard stuff plus turning into werewolves plus, you know, everything. You turn into a werewolf in VR. How cool is that? Plus vampires, plus everything. You know? Oops, just didn't get There we go. Yeah, it's good. So, like, Swordsman VR is really cool. I actually really recommend that game. It's really fun. Count that as number 6. We're on number 7. Yeah, I think the enemies right here are a little bit easier. Here's number 7. Yeah, these are pretty easy enemies. Well, since this puts guys to sleep, I should really be like targeting off monsters. 7. I'm gonna do like 3 more. Do one more before we use a tent. Let's go ahead and save just in case. Save that game. So my favorite VR games. Super Hot VR. Super Hot VR is amazing. Swordsman's really fun. Moss and Moss 2 are really fun. They're not first-person games. They're games where like it's almost like you're playing with toys. It's really cool. I like actually RTSs in VR. I think they're really fun in VR. That one's on an RTS. It's a platformer, like a action platformer and puzzle platformer, really. But it's really fun, and the aesthetics are great. Yeah, Mario 3 was such a huge launch, you had to pre-order it or you weren't getting a copy. It was a cultural phenomenon. It was helped by that movie, The Wizard, with Fred Savage, I think. You had the like amazing kid playing with like a Nintendo Power Glove. It was really stupid, but they played Super Mario 3 was like the championship game. But, like, the contest was to get the most points in it somehow. So, like, it was really dumb. But, Alright, we gotta do, I think, 2 more battles. Let's do a couple hard ones. Let's do a hard one here. So there's only, like, hard. There should be some hard guys in this room. Gives a ton of XP and stuff. More after this one. Yes, one of these guys. Oh, I could cast Stop on him. That's cool. Meteor raid. There we go. No problem. One more battle. Level up Earth. One more tough battle. Tongue! Oh, browse. I think that removes a quarter of the health, which is pretty good. He's really good at the beginning of the fight. You can land it. All right. That's it. Off we go. And I think we can go back and I think what's her face gives Vincent some stuff. There's a tent. Just have tents and cabins. I haven't used any of these, but I should. Oops. I didn't mean to do that. I wasted one, because I'm probably not going to use Vincent. Oh well. Oh well. I wasted one. No big deal. You don't really need it. Man, nah. See, I'm gonna reload. I'm gonna end up reloading because I wasted one of those. I don't think it does that much though. I like Super Mario World probably better than all other Mario games. It just did what Mario 3 did, but better and to like a greater extent. So, yeah, it's great. Let's go back. I think we get like a new weapon for Vincent here. We got to go north. Then I'll probably call it for the stream because it's after 3. I got to get to other work. Making some more content and stuff like that. I want to probably make a couple like videos on like what Wii U games and 3DS games you should get this week, if you can. And I'll check out some other Wii U hacking guides. See if it indeed has become easier than ever before. I think it only gives like one vitality stat. I think you're right. But a little bit it's good for Cloud because if you run cover and counter, he just becomes in like a death machine. Blocks every attack and kills the enemy just passively. You just like stack him up with stuff that raises his defense. And it's a really kind of overpowered strat, but anyway. Oh, dang it. Did you hear about how Forspoken, the Square Enix game Forspoken, turns out it has a $100 million budget. And found this out from one of the game's Western writers trying to get a job, saying that, she wrote for a game with a $100 million budget. Which is not only insane, but that Square Enix would give the writing duties over to a Westerner who clearly has no concept about how to write. Like, it's one of the worst ideas I could think of is like, let's hire a Western writer. Unless you're hiring me. You can hire me, Square Enix, but no. Especially like a feminist Western writer to make a Western thing. They don't know why Western games are popular. They're not popular because of the writing usually. Lucretia received death penalty. Received chaos. All right. Equip. I think that's his like highest level gun here. The death penalty. Wow. It's strong. Yeah, $100 million for that game. But the writer probably got paid almost nothing. Let's be real. But I would happily write a game for Square Enix. I get offers to write for games, but I usually have to turn them down because I'm too busy and they're not going to pay me enough money to make it worth my time. In order for me to work full time on a game, I have to be making at least $100,000 a year. Like, it's got to be a lot, because I'd have to completely rearrange my life to do that. And especially if it was like I had to move somewhere. You know, if I could work remotely as a writer, maybe for less, but like I still would want to rearrange my life so that my wife, you know, my wife would have to change what she's doing and I have to change what I'm doing. You know, most writing gigs I'm not going to have time to do like at the maximum competency, because I'm too busy with other things, and my life is not always that predictable with little kids as far as things like simple things like sleep go. So I think this will be it. I think we can go back toward Wutai. Then I will call the stream, because I want to get to writing some music. I want to finish some music. I don't think I can go past that, right? What a novel concept, actually taking your children into consideration when thinking about your life. The world could probably use more than that. The world could, but you know, a lot of people, it's kind of me, or they, you know, it's not all A or B, right? Like, is Elon Musk a bad father? You can think about this conceptually. It's like, he probably doesn't spend a lot of time with his kids. Does that make him a bad father? Well, he also provides a huge amount of money and security for them. So on one level, he's probably not as emotionally present. He's just not as present in his kids' lives as I am in my kids' lives. But does that mean that he is necessarily a worse father? I don't think it means that. I don't think those things necessarily go together, you know? Go back and get the airplane, I think. Forspoken is so bad that I actually want you to play it on stream. I would even buy it just to see you to play it for a few streams. It's a funny idea. I wouldn't like expect anyone to buy it for me. If someone bought it for me on Steam, it would be pretty hilarious. I would play it on stream. The niche gamer review pretty much nailed it. It's like a rich person writing their fantasy of what a poor person is. They have no concept of what people are like. But I feel like that with all Western games. Like, people are the writers. It's like they've never had any life experience. Talked about this with like all the gay crap in the new World of Warcraft expansion. It's not that it's gay. It's that it's like the people writing it have never been in a human relationship. It's like they're autistic, or like they're 12. I don't know. It's terrible. Anyway, I'm gonna say it again. Probably not worth giving this people any money. Well, yeah, they're already folding the. They already folded the. What's the word? The studio back into Square Enix. So they disbanded the development team. All right. Yep, I think that's it for today. I got to get on to making music. So I'll try to get some music out this week. We'll see how that goes. Because it could go good or bad. Right now, it's hard to find time to do things. I've had a daylight savings time ruins my week because my kids do not adjust to, the magically changing the time on the clock and making everybody go to work at a different time doesn't change how my kids sleep. So they've been up to like really late at night every single night. It's been really, really stupid. I don't like daylight savings time. I don't know anyone who likes at least switching to daylight savings time. I know people who like pretending that the sun is setting later. In other words, they're going to work an hour earlier and getting out of work an hour earlier. So if they like that, then they should just set their life up so work starts and ends an hour earlier. They go to work at 7 and leave at 3 or whatever. Right? Just set it up like that. Anyway, that's it, folks. Newest book. Let me get the links here. If you join the mailing list, you get it for free. You get the ebook for free. If you think you should start making a distinction between Westerner and Californian or New Yorker, there you go. Someone from California or New York, do not hire these people to do your writing. I know I lived in California. I'm the only Californian you should hire. I'm not actually from I'm from Texas originally. So, yeah, don't hire people from I mean, Michael Moorcock lives in Texas, right? Like, these people are disconnected from reality. Even the people in LA who are surrounded by homeless people have no idea what poor people are like. It's crazy. Because they live in like gated communities. They live far away from the poor people. They never interact with them. All right. So that's it, folks. Have a great one. And I'll see you all next time.